So our summary of signs is pretty straightforward. What we're proposing is that most of the things you're going to be able to see in someone are going to be around the digestive tract, which should make sense because the digestive tract is, where the food is coming in first. So if there's a problem, likelihood, it makes sense, reason it's going to show up in that area. The respiratory tract is important to understand because the respiratory tract is very thin tissue, very delicate tissue. So if there's a problem in your bloodstream, if there's a problem in your body, where is it going to show up? It's going to show up in the delicate tissues, in the respiratory tract, in the sinuses, in the dark circles under the eyes, in the tympanic membrane, the eardrum. It's going to show up where the body has delicate tissues because that's where the IgG antibodies and these foods are causing a lot of locally acidic conditions, a lot of locally damaging conditions. Now the skin, things will show up in the skin because of the connection energetically, and this is where we start to see things like acne and eczema on the cheeks or the backs of the arm because of the energetic connection with all this. Things that show up in the skin always show up along a meridian. Here's a little final nice tidbit on the skin. If it shows up bilaterally, meaning that it's showing up on both sides of the body, then what you can safely deduce is that is a systemic issue, meaning that it is something that's going on in the bloodstream, and because the meridians are bilateral, it's showing up bilaterally in the skin. If it's a skin issue that's showing up on one side of the body, then typically that has a lot to do with an infection. And you just say, okay, that's a local infection and we need to figure out why it's not resolving or why your body isn't resolving it, or things of that nature. So what you want to understand additionally is that delayed food allergies will have a huge impact upon your energy production, your digestion, and your respiration, but it'll also have a huge impact upon your immune system by way of, if you're eating foods that your immune system doesn't like, it has to attack them. And in attacking them, it wastes your energy. In attacking them, it takes away resources that should and could be applied towards cleaning your body at night and also keeping other infections at bay. When you are eating foods that your immune system doesn't like, it turns you into a susceptible host for infections. What all of this does, digestion affected, energy affected, respiration affected, immune system affected, what all of this does is it places an enormous burden on your liver to do its best job of keeping your blood clean. And in doing so, the system that is most commonly compromised is the body's hormonal system, particularly in the female body. Okay, so let's say you find out you have a delayed allergy to, let's say, milk. And you go, okay, that's no problem. I can switch to a different milk, but I really, really, really like Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Or I really like Chubby Hubby, Ben and Jerry's. And I sure don't want to give that up for the rest of my life because it's so sweet and tasty. Well, what you say to yourself is, okay, I'm going to understand and make good decisions based upon the information that I have. I am going to set up my diet so that it has staples and indulgences. Now, a staple of your diet is going to be any food that does several things. Number one, that your immune system really digs. So any food that your immune system doesn't have a problem with has the potential to be a staple of your diet. Number two, a staple of your diet is likely going to be alkalizing, based upon what we've been learning in class. Number three, it's going to be organic. Number four, it's going to have nutrient density, and probably because it's organic. And number five, it's going to taste good. You're going to enjoy it. So all of those factors go into staples of your diet, because if you're not enjoying it, what are you really doing? I mean, this isn't supposed to be prison, eating healthy. Now, an indulgence, and let's say, for example, that Ben and Jerry's, then indulgence is something where you go, you know what, that's not something my body is designed to eat. Therefore, I'm not going to burden my body with it on a day in and day out basis. What I'm going to do, depending upon its severity, meaning how intense of a reaction it creates in my body, I'm going to enjoy it moderately, mildly, just a couple times a month. And that way you still get to have the satisfaction of that taste, the enjoyment of that food, without it being overly destructive to your body. Now, you don't get into indulgences until you've had a clearance period. So let's talk about this. The half-life of an IgG antibody is 21 to 28 days. What that tells us, for safety's sake, is that a person needs to have a strict avoidance of anything that they find out they are IgG allergic to for 28 days so that they can lower their blood levels of the IgG antibodies against those foods. There are people in moderate to severe conditions, especially where the health is concerned, where they may have to go through a clearance period of 2, 3, 4 months. I've had a few patients that have had to go through clearance periods of 6 months, just because every time we tried to reintroduce something, their body was just like, I'm not having it right now. And we find that to be the case with delayed food allergies. In that first year, you really are going to be, you're not going to really be eating that food a lot. It's going to be a once in a while thing for you, maybe once a month thing for you. But as you honor that, what we find is that people's bodies, especially after about a year, start to get very, very strong and can handle moderate exposures to the foods again, with in some cases limited to no reactions. We also have another subset of folks, and I have most of my patients fall into this category, where when they come in, they're not feeling very well. We get their diet cleaned up, and there are certain foods that they really weren't allergic to, even though their body was showing it, so they can have those foods again as staples once we get their digestion, especially the digestive tract, very intact and healthy. So there's a whole bunch of scenarios, but what we wanted to do is just propose this concept of staples versus indulgences for you. So I've been very fortunate to run roughly a little over 1,000, probably by this time, delayed food allergy panels. And one of the things that I have learned is that there are 4 major classes of delayed food allergies, meaning that most people that come into work with me have at least one of these 4. And the top 4 that I've seen in my practice are dairy, gluten, eggs, and yeast. We have people out there who write about there's a ton of soy allergies. I haven't seen it. I just have not seen the high percentage of people allergic to soy. In fact, I could probably count on 2 hands the number of patients who had a true allergy to soy. We also see people saying there's a lot of allergies to corn, and speculating that the GMOs from corn, the genetically modified organisms, are problematic. And I just haven't seen that in practice either. Now, that being said, I am no advocate by any stretch of the imagination for GMO foods. And I do believe that a person should stay away from them at all costs. But when we talk about, say, organic corn, organic soybeans, I don't see a high reactivity. Now, a couple interesting notes I do see. I have seen people with elevated cholesterol levels be allergic to eggs, which is kind of neat. That's, to me, when I look at that, I go, there's the immune system's intelligence at work. I have seen patients with candida issues be allergic to yeast. Maybe another sign of the body's intelligence at work. And of course, we do see folks in some cases with autoimmune conditions, usually allergic to milk or dairy products or gluten, or a combination of the two. So those are the main 4 players when we talk about delayed food allergies, as I've seen in practice with a sample size of a little over 1,000 people. So this comes from the PETA People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And I, in truth, do not agree with a lot of their tactics and methodologies and sensationalism, but they do, in some cases, put out some pretty good research. And one of the places they put out good research is with a website called milksucks.com. And so what you see here is they're proposing something for you that we're going to get into. Plus, as a physician, and understanding what I do about how the body functions, the immune system functions, understanding what I do about cows and the living conditions that they're in, and how milk is produced, and all of the things that go into milk. I cannot in good conscience advocate milk as a healthy food, whether a person has a delayed food allergy to it or not. Of course, when a person does have a delayed food allergy to it, it makes it that much easier for me to take them off it, and thankfully a lot of people do have delayed food allergies to milk and milk products. So some milk, some things that you'll find pus in, of course, is going to be cow milk, cheese, yogurt. Casein is a protein in milk, whey is a protein in milk, and also, unfortunately, colostrum, which a lot of people do advocate as a nice immune booster. But what I tell folks is, how can I give somebody colostrum when I can't advocate milk for them in the first place? So just some ideas for that. I am certainly no advocate of dairy products at all as staples of the diet. As indulgences of the diet, I can see where they are not as problematic as long as people are keeping their exposures down to, say, 2 times a month max. I would think that a person who's eating very healthy and organic should be able to have a little bit of cow milk without too much of a problem, once or twice a month. But as a staple of the diet, something that's going into the body every day, it just causes too much chaos and havoc. Hey, Bessie! So, what I want you to know is the information I'm about to share with you comes from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services 2003 Grade A Pasteurized Milk Ordinance, which is like a 375-page document, and I've read through a good portion of it. So, first thing I want you to know is I want you to know that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services allows for 750,000 pus cells per milliliter of cow milk. What you need to understand is a milliliter of cow milk is approximately a fifth of a teaspoon. So, in that little fifth of a teaspoon, there is a strong likelihood that you are consuming as much as 750,000 pus cells. So what I want you to do is this. Close your eyes. I want you to pull out your favorite cereal, and I want you to pour it into a nice bowl. And what I want you to do is put your spoon in that bowl and pick up a nice spoonful of that cereal. And now imagine that one of your friends is popping a zit onto that spoon and then eat it. Because essentially, as nasty as that is, that's what people are doing when they eat milk. When you eat milk, when you drink milk, when you cook with milk, you are putting pus cells from another animal into your body. Pus cells are white blood cells filled with glycosaminoglycans, which are protein, pus structures, and they are there because that animal was experiencing infection. So there are infections in the milk as well. So basically what you're eating is another animal's pus, which is and should be absolutely nauseating and disgusting. How can a doctor tell a mom that her little baby of 2 years old should be drinking a glass of milk a day, a glass of Acne every day, and that baby's going to be healthy? I just can't see it. I just can't see how people do it. What you have to understand, some people will argue with me and say that we've been drinking milk forever, and I say to them, okay, we have never consumed as many dairy products in human history as we consume on a daily basis now. Milk is in almost everything. Milk is used in the morning on cereal. There's cheese, there's yogurt, there's whey protein powder, there's casein in so many products. Milk is everywhere. And we as a human species have never in any society consumed the amount of milk that we're consuming in today's age. If you go back 100 years, yes, you might have had milk on the farm. Were you drinking a big heaping bowl of milk every day and having milk for dinner? No, you weren't, because you had a couple of Bessies, and Bessie wasn't going to be producing milk all year long, so you saved your milk. Okay, you didn't go you didn't use it for every single thing out there. So that's one of my arguments against it. The other argument I have is that we are the only species that drinks the milk of another species. That seems a little bit odd to me. It seems odd to me that we have opposable thumbs and we are the most intelligent species out there, but as a staple of our diet, we say it's okay to drink the milk of another species. The milk of another species for an animal that's designed to be 1,000 to 1,500 pounds and have growth hormones to be able to reach that size. So these are some of the things that you have to consider drinking milk. Everybody likes ice cream, it's good. Everybody likes pizza and cheese, it's good, it tastes good, it's a comfort. You get it, okay? What you want to understand is that food ideal for a staple of your diet? That's the question. And when I look at the number of delayed food allergies I have, when I see the number of sick people that I have, and I see the influence that milk and dairy products has over their poor health, the only conclusion that a reasonable mind can come to is no. If you get the body very healthy, should you be able to enjoy those as indulgences from time to time in a month without any ill effect, of course. And that's the point. Put milk in its proper place as an indulgence. Certainly not as a thing for your cereal, but maybe it's in some recipes that you like to cook with, occasionally have them, that's fine. Maybe it's just something like ice cream, that's fine. But my other argument is I would understand this emotional connection to milk if we didn't have good alternatives. So let's go a little bit further and see what some of those good alternatives might be.